guys, so we're going to do 2 lessons on social policy today. The first, well, 2 lessons on social policy this week, sorry. So the first lesson is going to be on comparative social policy, and what you might get asked is to compare UK policy with policies that are abroad. So as part of this lesson, I'm going to get you to reread up on the 3 main comparative policies we look at, but I'm also getting you to think about why these policies wouldn't be brought in to the United Kingdom. So just to get started off, there's the key terms you need if I get you to write a definition of those. And the one I'm going to go through is surveillance, because obviously we think of surveillance normally like surveillance cameras. With surveillance, it just means closely monitoring the actions and behaviour of the family. So that's your definition for that one. So of course, first we've got China's one-child policy. Now at the time the spec was created, China's one-child policy was still in place. Obviously recently they have loosened up on it and got rid of it. Some of you will be aware, but it was in place. So you need to be able to talk and assess the impact of China's one-child policy. So we have got an article for you to read in China's one-child policy. Use that information. First task is really simple to explain why it was introduced, and then the column next to it and to explain any problems, so that you'll find that underneath the article. Now, I've written for you 2 reasons that it wouldn't be introduced in the UK to get you started thinking about why we wouldn't have a one-child policy here in the UK. Now, firstly, we've got this term private sphere. Private sphere means a sphere where the public can't get involved. And in the UK, the family is very much seen as a private sphere. It's seen as not something that the government can have too much impact in. People are very reluctant to go in and deal with family. Now this has its advantages because it gives us a lot more free will. The government are very unlikely to control how many children we can have, to some degree, like who we can marry and things like that. There is the argument as well, however, that allows things like domestic violence to go on for too long because the police and government are too reluctant to go in. But on the whole, it can be argued it gives us a lot more free will than, say, places like China where they can control birth rates. Okay, secondly, the UK focuses more on individual rights and collective goals. So we very much have our individual rights protected here. It wouldn't be the case of forcing someone to have an abortion, where in other countries they care more about the collective goals of a country rather than individual human rights. We focus on individual human rights here. Okay. Our second article is a bit shorter, and this is about Romania. Now, during a period of time, they wanted to increase the population of Romania because they wanted more people to, he wanted to build an army, he wanted a bigger workforce. So the leader at the time, Ceausescu, he basically brought it in that he made contraception illegal, he made abortion illegal. And this worked, the population increased. However, there were lots of problems with that. And if you read through this article, you can find some of those problems. But what you might remember from what we've covered in class is these people now, the Romanian orphans that we tend to think at were born in like 1989. And if you remember, we saw they're now, well, they're my age essentially, and they're living underground in sewers. So we've got very high rates of HIV, very high rates of drug addiction. So it's been a long-term problem, not just a little problem. Right. Then there's 3 questions, but there's one I'm going to give you the answer on, which is why the store would not be introduced in the UK. So from previous studies, you may remember contraception became legalised in the 1960s. Now the reason this is unlikely to be revoked is it was a real struggle, like a real feminist movement to get contraception introduced, and it's now being kind of perceived more as a right, and it's very unlikely that we would ever go back on legalising contraception in particular, but also abortion. Now, what is interesting is we know areas like America, many states have decided to criminalise abortion. So it's not that this wouldn't happen again, because it is happening again in America. And our third and final policy is more of a historic example, which was the 1950s, and this is eugenics. So eugenics is simply the idea that you control your population through only allowing certain people to reproduce. So in Germany at this time, they forcefully sterilised people with disabilities, ethnic minorities, people with mental health problems, people with low IQs. A big one was they forcibly sterilised several thousand deaf people at the time. So this was a policy to create a super race. So on one end you've got all these people that are being forcibly sterilised. At the other end they were taking particularly Aryan women, white women with blonde hair, but pretty much all German women who are healthy, and encouraging them to have as many children as possible. So there would be like awards given out to women who had several children. So what you resulted in is an increase of the people you want to reproduce to create what Hitler saw as a master race. Now think globally about organisations that have been developed since World War II, like UNICEF, and explain why that would mean that we would be unlikely to see this kind of forced sterilisation, particularly in Western countries today. So that's comparative policy. For the next lesson we'll be doing theoretical policy and theoretical views on UK policies. Hope that helps. Bye.